During the reign of Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany saw a series of drastic measures and bans imposed to shape society according to the regime's extreme ideologies. These bans range from cultural and intellectual suppression to severe racial and social policies. Driven by a desire to control every aspect of German life and eliminate any perceived threats to their ideology, the Nazis implemented bans affecting various groups and activities. These measures aimed to eradicate dissent, enforce racial purity, and promote their vision of an Aryan society. The enforcement of these bans was often brutal, leading to severe punishment and persecution. These extreme policies had devastating impacts on countless individuals and communities, reflecting the oppressive and totalitarian nature of the Nazi regime. Smoking? Hitler, a fervent anti-smoking advocate, initiated one of the world's earliest public anti-smoking campaigns in the late 1930s. He believed smoking was detrimental to health and productivity and harmful to the Aryan race. Smoking was banned in public places, on public transport, and in workplaces. Propaganda efforts highlighted the dangers of smoking, and cigarette advertising was heavily restricted. Punishments for violating these bans ranged from fines to imprisonment. The campaign was part of a broader effort to promote physical fitness and purity among Germans, aligning with Nazi ideology. This anti-smoking stance was also influenced by Hitler's personal distaste for smoking, contributing to the overall campaign against tobacco use. Jazz music. Jazz music was banned in Nazi Germany because it was seen as degenerate and racially impure. Hitler viewed it as a product of African American culture, which clashed with his ideology of Aryan supremacy. This ban took effect in the 1930s, with severe consequences for those who defied it. Musicians caught playing jazz faced imprisonment or worse. The Nazi regime implemented strict censorship on radio stations and record stores, eradicating jazz from public life. This move reflected the broader suppression of cultural expressions that did not align with Nazi ideology, aiming to purify German culture. Jazz was seen as subversive and morally corrupt, necessitating its complete removal. Modern art. Modern art, labeled degenerate by the Nazis, was banned in 1937. Hitler believed that modern art, including abstract and expressionist works, undermined traditional German values. The regime confiscated thousands of pieces from museums and galleries, destroying or selling many. Artists associated with these movements were ostracized, and some faced imprisonment or exile. The infamous Degenerate Art Exhibition of 1937 displayed confiscated works to ridicule them. This ban sought to promote a homogeneous cultural narrative aligned with Nazi ideals, suppressing creative expression that challenged or differed from their propaganda. The attack on modern art was part of a larger effort to control and manipulate culture. Books by Jewish authors. The Nazi regime banned books by Jewish authors as part of their broader anti-Semitic policies. Beginning in 1933, they orchestrated public book burnings to eliminate works by Jewish, communist, and other undesirable writers. This censorship aimed to control intellectual discourse and suppress any opposition to Nazi ideology. Violations of this ban could result in severe penalties, including imprisonment. The regime's efforts to eradicate Jewish influence from German culture extended to schools, libraries, and bookstores, contributing to the intellectual and cultural oppression that characterized Nazi rule. This suppression of literature was integral to the Nazis' plan to control thought and culture. Political parties. Upon rising to power in 1933, Hitler quickly banned all political parties except for the Nazi Party. This move eradicated political opposition and solidified Nazi control. The ban targeted communists, socialists, and other dissenters, many of whom were arrested and sent to concentration camps. The Reichstag fire decree and the Enabling Act facilitated this political purge. By eliminating rival parties, the Nazis ensured a totalitarian regime where dissent was brutally suppressed. This banishment of political pluralism was a cornerstone of Hitler's strategy to maintain unchallenged authority over Germany. The elimination of political competition allowed the Nazis to implement their policies without opposition. Labor unions. In May 1933, Hitler banned independent labor unions, replacing them with the German Labor Front, DAF, a Nazi-controlled organization. This ban aimed to prevent workers from organizing against the regime and to eliminate potential sources of opposition. Union leaders were arrested and their assets seized. Workers were forced to join the DAF, which promoted Nazi ideology and suppressed demands for better wages or conditions. This move ensured that the Nazi regime had complete control over the workforce, stifling any labor movements that could threaten their power. The suppression of labor unions was part of the broader strategy to control all aspects of German society. Homosexuality. The Nazi regime intensified the persecution of homosexuality, which was already criminalized under paragraph 175 of the German Penal Code. In 1935, the Nazis expanded the law, increasing penalties and broadening its scope. Homosexuals were arrested and sent to concentration camps, where they were subjected to brutal treatment. The regime viewed homosexuality as a threat to Aryan purity and reproductive goals. An estimated 50,000 men were convicted, and thousands died in camps. This extreme banishment reflected the broader Nazi obsession with racial purity and the elimination of behaviors they deemed deviant. The persecution of homosexuals was a tragic aspect of the Nazi regime's oppressive policies. Jehovah's Witnesses. Hitler banned Jehovah's Witnesses in 1933 due to their refusal to pledge allegiance to the state or serve in the military. The Nazis targeted them for their pacifism and political neutrality, which conflicted with the regime's militaristic and nationalistic agenda. Thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses were arrested and sent to concentration camps, where they faced severe punishment and torture. The witnesses' steadfast refusal to renounce their faith or comply with Nazi demands made them one of the most persecuted religious groups under Hitler's rule. Their persecution was part of the broader effort to eliminate all forms of dissent and nonconformity. Interracial marriages. In 1935, the Nuremberg laws prohibited marriages and extramarital relations between Jews and non-Jewish Germans. This legislation aimed to preserve Aryan racial purity and prevent racial mixing. Violators faced severe penalties, including imprisonment and forced labor. The laws extended to other groups deemed racially inferior, such as Romani people and black individuals. The regime's obsession with racial purity drove these draconian measures, which had devastating effects on affected families and communities. These laws exemplified the extreme lengths to which the Nazis went to enforce their racial ideology, leading to widespread suffering and persecution. Jewish emigration. By 1941, Hitler effectively banned Jewish immigration from Germany, trapping Jews within the borders of the Nazi regime. This policy shift marked a transition from forced immigration to the final solution, the systematic extermination of Jews. The regime sealed borders and revoked immigration permits, leaving Jews with no escape. Those caught attempting to flee faced arrest and deportation to concentration camps. This extreme measure facilitated the mass genocide of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. The ban on immigration was a critical component of the Nazis' genocidal policy, underscoring their intent to annihilate European Jewry. The prohibition of Jewish immigration was one of the most brutal aspects of Nazi persecution. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below.